Hello, this is Sissy from Sissy's Cards and Crafts, and tonight we're going to make this lovely little gift box. So it is October what? Oh man, I want to say October 4th. Yes, that's what I was going to say. So October 4th, 2024. Thanksgiving right around the corner. This is a cute little box that we made in a get together, and it opens up. There's a little piece of Velcro there with our lovely little cup, and we did that the other night. So we'll do one of these again, just a quick recap of that set. But this was my initial one, so I fixed this little glitch that's here. And this opens up, and we have our little cinnamon piece in here, and then you can stick a nice hot apple cider in here. Or, as somebody was saying, calling it grog, which I thought was very cute. But this is our apple cider. It does fit two of them. And of course, you can get all the hot chocolates in that go with that as well, or rather the same as that. So let's get started. This does take a little bit of prep work. Let me just set that somewhere. This is ultimately what we're looking for, is getting this shape. So to get this shape, we're gonna kind of do a few different pieces here. So I've got to pull my notes out. We need to start off with a 10 1/4 by 8. So remember this lovely paper trimmer, all of its features. Well, one of its amazing features is it has this lovely arm coming out here. I apologize for the light coming down. I kind of need the light to show what I'm doing. But let me just move this. This here, this mat beneath, is the Glass Mat Studio. It comes with this lovely little tray that you can put things on. These fit the Stampin' ink spots. You can put your pieces on here, your stamps on there. All of that stuff works really good that way. Sorry, I've got just pieces everywhere. All right, so back to this lovely arm. It comes out, and I can measure all the way up to 17 inches. So I need, what was it I said? 10 1/4. So I'm going to come to 10 1/4, use my cutting blade, and I'm just going to slide down there. I'm going to have that little piece that I'm going to use in a bit. So that is my 10 1/4 side. I now need 8 inches, I believe. Yes. I apologize. I'm going to keep looking at my notes here, and hopefully I get it correct. So again, I'm going to keep that piece. So I can fold this back in. Now I'm going to do some scoring. So on the 10 1/4 inch side, so remember this is our long side. I will need that out one more for this one spot here. Okay, so the first score I'm going to do, and remember, our scoring blade is the light gray blade. It is 1 3/4. All right, so we've got here. Okay, so score, and 2 1/2. And 6. So come all the way up here to 6. And 6 3/4. So just below 7. All right, so that is the score marks, if you can see them, on the 10 1/4 side. Now to go on the 8 inch side, I need 1 inch. So remember, I can check my measurements all the way down through because that line goes all the way down. So I've got 1 inch, 1 3/4, 6 1/4. And you note here, so it stops at 6. If I had this blade down, that's 6 right there to go right against this edge. When I pull this up, I get some markings here, but then this white piece inset for all the markings kind of stops because that's where the fold is. But there are embossed edges there that allows me to see that 6 1/4 mark there. So I can see it, measure it there, score. So I've got my 6 1/4 and then my 7. So there's a lot of, somebody was thinking when they created this one. I've tried a couple other different paper trimmers and they're just not the same. Okay, so we've now got this trimmed out. This is what we want to see. So you'll see here that we're going to cut off some pieces, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And then we're going to round some edges. So if you start with this, this is one, what you could, I have tried just being very diligent and doing the trimming, the cutting rather, right on the paper trimmer and stopping at certain edges. And you know what? It was just as quick to do this. I think, though, that one of the secrets is to do your folding. So on all of those score lines, fold, give a nice little crease with your bone folder. Take it. So for those of you that were at the craft night and we enjoyed making one of these, I did all this for you, right? So this is your lesson on how to do this. I didn't score it though for you. You had to score that on your own. So when I was doing my cutting, and I didn't score this either, or fold this rather. I scored it but didn't fold it. And I didn't fold for you guys the other night. The other day. But if you do make those folds, you can see how it's just easier to see those lines. So when you come in here, you folded everything. Now what you basically want to do is, so you can see I've got a score line here and a score line here. I want this whole piece to come out. And then I just want this piece to come out. I'm leaving this middle section. We're going to call this the middle section because we've got two ends on either side. That's kind of the one in the middle. And then we're duplicating that over here, except on this end, this whole piece comes out. So again, for this side, this whole piece comes out. This little notch here comes out. This little one comes out, and this comes out. All right, so we're going to quickly cut them. I do find it works better with long scissors rather than snips, because I can then just follow that down and go straight down. I don't have to worry about kind of catching my line with my scissors and moving forward in that way I'm making. So start right almost down at the fulcrum if you can, and then just run right along that line nice and straight. So this is where I said I tried with the paper trimmer to kind of go in. And if you can do that, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but it will make it work nice and even. However, I did find that I wasn't as even as I thought I would be. And it's very easy to overcut my line. So if I wanted to cut in here, it was easy to kind of go over that edge or not quite go as far and have to come in with my scissors and clean it up afterwards. But see, I'm talking and I'm not thinking. I'm gonna have to, I cut that piece there and I didn't mean to. So you know what I'm gonna do, just for sake of crafting and doing something, making a mistake and fixing it, I'm going to keep going. Ideally, you know, you would start that over again, create a new piece, but live and learn. Don't try to teach and do it at the same time. Okay, so until you're ready to take that challenge on. All right, so here I'm going to go all the way down, cutting that in. Then I'm cutting that off. All right, then I'm cutting in here, trimming that all the way down, stopping at that score line. That's what I didn't do before. And come down there. this whole piece here, I want to cut right down into that. And then I'm cutting that off. All right, so I'm now going to just switch over to my snips just because they're a little bit easier to do this with. Oh, it's got some buzz on it. All right, and I'm going to just miter these corners. So I'm coming in and I'm mitering them just so I've got it a little bit narrow at the end, the tip of it. This is just going to make it when I fold it over and glue it, I'm not going to have too much bulk in there and it not lay square. So this helps. So just come down and miter those corners just down to the corner there. Just like that. And now my piece with the tape on it. I apologize. But hey, crafting is crafting, right? We all make mistakes. So I'm just going to, now I'm going to say keep that piece, those pieces. I do have this piece because I started with the 12 by 12 piece, so I do have an extra piece. However, you might want to just keep that extra. This here is just something I got off of Amazon. Stampin' Up! Does sell something similar to this, but this is really, it just does these rounded corners to different, it was part of an envelope making set, but I want to kind of round my corners off, so I think I'm going to use this piece. I do find with all punches like this, look at this side, because then I'm going to match it up, and what I want to do is match that corner goes in there, and then I'm just going to punch it, and it's going to give me a nice rounded edge, so I can make sure it's square in there and not, you know. All right, and the beauty of doing this is I'm going to get a nice, I'm going to get the same edge for each corner. Plus, when I go to do my matting and my inset, I'm going to get the same corner as well because I've already done it. All right, so that's my basic shape that we had. Now I want to do a couple circles. So I'm going to use my dies to do a couple circles. And then I also want to have, where's my box? So you'll see I had designer series paper all along here, something fancy, right? And that's what designer series paper is just a fancier paper to lay that on. So I pulled out, because, you know, I do really appreciate the Stampin' Up! Products. I think they're great. And we get a lot of them, but then they're only around for a season, maybe a year, some of them. This time we had some from last year come back, so that was great. They're still around. But if you only have them for a season and then they're gone, you still are usually left with some. So this is old paper, which I'm going to use. Problem with something like this is it does have a direction to it. So I'm going to try to make it all go the same direction. You don't have to. There's one like this that doesn't have the same direction. It's multi-directional. So that would work. And really, I guess, how you want this. It could be this way, or it could be this way. But I just think that if you're going to put it, you know, do it the same all the way around. All right. So I need 2 of 4 1/4 by 1 1/2. So let's do 1 1/2 is 3. So let's just go 3 first. And then we're going to do 4 1/4. And then I'll come back and just cut this in half to 1 1/2. For some reason, that's the way my brain wanted to do it. And so that's the way it got done. And that is going to fit on here. Actually, I only needed one of them. that's fine. I'm going to use the other piece. So you can see that's going to go on there. So here I can do my corners. And you know what? I just did my whole, make sure it's directional. I just went off kilter there. So let's try to make sure I keep it in the same direction. I'm going to just lay it down here so I can see that at all times. And I know which way I want this to go. All right. So then my piece for here is, I believe that's 4.5 by 1/2. So I'm going to go 1/2. This time I'm going to measure on this side of the blade. So I've got that at 1/2. I'm going to set that down, cut, and then that should measure right there. So I need another one for the other side. So that's going to be 1/2 as well, because my box is the same. So then I've got that side. Beauty, huh? Look at that. I don't think that one is going to cut it, but I'm going to hold on to it just in case. Now I need my three-quarters by 1/2. I don't think that's right. That's so. Let me just measure this. I'm questioning my own measurements here. So this is going to be, that's 3/4, and that's 3.5. So we want 3.25 by 1/2. So 3.25 by 1/2. 3.25. And I want this to be this way. So this is going to be my 3.25, and this is going to be my 1/2. So let's do the 3.25 first. I think I've got this right. Maybe just avoid the multi-directional paper. And then I'm going to do 1/2. Let's just double check here. You know what? 3 would have been good there. Nope, 3.25. I didn't even cut 3.25. That's where my problem was. Okay. It's late. It's late. So let's do that 3.25. Now, by 1/2. All right, so that is those ones. And now we want the 3.25 by 3/4. So let's keep going with this one. 3/4. Double check it. Looks good. And 3/4. All right, so we've got there. And then I need my main piece that will sit here in the center. And that is going to be 4.25 by 3/4. So let's keep it this way. So it's going to be 3.25 by 4/4. 4.25. If you want to try this, let me know. I will send out the instructions. Okay, so I rounded those corners. I want to round these as well that are going to go on that one. So like I say, just try to make sure that's lining up in there. Line up in there. And then line up there. Line up there. All right. So now it's just gluing these all. And where did my glue go? With the designer series paper, it is a little thinner than the cardstock, so less is more when it comes to your glue. And just tap it on. The problem is you can get some wrinkling under where the glue is if you put too much glue on. So you don't want to have that happen. And it's helpful when you have glue that actually has glue in there. So let me reach into my magic basket here and see if I can find another thing of glue. Oh, magic basket of mine. Where is the glue? There we go. This one feels a little bit more full. I'll leave that one upside down and maybe that will help. All right, so I'm going to grab this and I'm just going to put our glue on. Might be a little bit more than I wanted. Okay. If you get glue on it like I did, or seeping out like I did, because I don't know if I just had more there or if it slid or what, but take your fingernail, or if you have a take your pick tool like this, there is just pulled the whole thing out. That pointy end is good for just grabbing that glue off it and wiping it out. Or you can get a glue eraser, which works as well. I find on red paper, though, it can be problematic. All right, so it just likes to smudge that red color all the way around. That's not pleasant. Yeah, I think I just pushed it too far over. But you know what? Again, homemade is homemade. Comment if you appreciate the homemade little, it's just maybe not perfect, but it was made with love. And somebody put some effort and time into it. It wasn't just running into the store to find something. There was a little bit more time and effort put into it, right? It's always nice. At least in my mind it is. Share if you feel the same way. All right, so a little goop on the end of that. Get rid of it. Okay, so I'm going to put this piece on the front. And then okay, so there we go. Now I made my direction to go that way for the whole top, and then this way for these two end pieces. All right, so then to put it together, we're just gonna put these little flaps flop in and glue together like that. So then we can have our top here. Oh, sorry, I put that on the bottom. I was supposed to do another one, so I can we'll throw another one on here. You know what? I'm just going to leave that. I've got another thought coming here. I'm going to just leave that for a second. So ideally that goes on the top. Anyway, I do have a plan. The original one that I saw that I found online there was a bottom and a top, and I decided in our group not to put something on the bottom. But I guess this one I just did. Again, all in how you do it. Okay. So glue on those tabs, and then you're just going to pull them over and stick them in. This is where extra fingers come in handy if you have them, which, you know, most of us don't. But using the Tombow glue, so this multi-purpose glue, you can let it dry just a little bit like we did the other night, I showed you. And then as soon as it comes in contact with paper, it sticks. It might not be 100% adherence. It might be able to be peeled back, you know, within a few seconds, but it will hold rather than smear around like glue does. Okay, so that piece now, because I buggered it up, we could throw one on there. I could try, and this is what I'm thinking, a whole different background, because we're going to put our other piece on here, our circle piece. And so if we put something else beneath it, it might just perk it up. Or I could put another piece just like that on. Where did that paper go? So you can use a complementing pattern or the same one. Just trying to think if here's one that would look kind of neat. Have that there. Or this one, maybe. But you know what? It's just when you're going with it, let's go with it. So I want to go this way, and that's my 3 1/4. Oops. 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. All right. So let's just keep going. That way we're not adding confusion, but you can make it however you want. I think when we did this, if I remember correctly, when we did this the other day, we assembled our box first, then added all these pieces, which made that a little bit more clear as to where those pieces were going. Okay, so now I need to have, we're going to work on this part here. So we want 2 circles and our drink that we're going to put on here. So for this one, and why this happened here is because I did my original circle and stamped and everything, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I want it a little bit smaller and I still want something behind. So what I did is just had 2 circles the same, and I offset one. I cut it in half and then just offset it, but you can see that behind there. Not happy with it. So when we did the other ones, I did it where we could they were 2 different sizes. So I'm going to use this as my background piece. Okay. I could almost, I think my circle die is big enough to even use that. That would be kind of cool. Let's see if it works. What did I do with my dies? I am not organized. Let's call it as it is. No organization here. Okay, so my back, I want to be that size. So I could use that and then put this one in front, the green in front. We could do that. I think we will try that. It will, actually, no, it's not going to quite work. So let's go with plan one. Plan one is what I want to go with. So I'm going to just trim this up so I have enough here to go with. This one I'm going to trim so I've got enough here to run it through. And then we're going to cut these. So bring out our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I could have used the squares if you wanted to use squares, but by all means. I'm going to stick with the circles. I just think that is something I like. All right, so I've got my piece of paper on here, my die on there. I'm going to run that through and offset it like I need to. I'm just going to run it through. Okay, so there's die one. Right, perfect. And then die two, cutting plate. You'll notice this cutting plate's pretty cracked up and marked up. That's fine. That's exactly what's going to happen. That's what you expect, right? Like you can even maybe see it's a bit of a red circle there from that paper just being cut. This is like a blade pushing down in there, so it's going to mark it up. It's also getting bent. That happens with pressure. This plate also is a little bent. I try not to cut on this that much because then when I get new plates, this one will become my cutting plate and a new one will be my top plate. And then I just have to get rid of one. I have to get rid of the bottom cutting plate. And then I have one brand new one all ready to go. So it's kind of my way of making them last a little bit longer. Some people would argue that if I flip them around and use this to cut, that I would get more of more life out of it. And you can see it's starting to crack there. That's normal. Like they are something that needs to be replaced every once in a while. But these are going on over a year. I've had them. So I think, you know, if it's something you got to replace annually or even every year and a half, 2 years, I think you're getting your money's worth out of them. All right. So these are my circles that are going to go on here. And they're going to act like the centerpiece to this card. Plus, they're going to give me my piece to pull on and to use. So first thing I want to do is I want to do some stamping. But I also want to put my wording on here. So I said to keep some of this red paper. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a sticker. And I mentioned this the other day is the sticker paper. And what it is it's like a sticker. So it's got the clear sticky paper on either two sides or sandwiched in between two wax pieces of paper. So I'm just going to cut off a piece. Actually, let me go down this side so I can make it work a little bit better for me. I'm going to cut off a piece that's pretty much the same size as this. Now, there's a lot of different ways people will use this paper. In all honesty, this was not Stampin' Up's sticker paper. I purchased it from somewhere else. The Stampin' Up one apparently works a little bit. It's the same thing. It's just the way the paper peels off of it's a little bit different, so it makes it easier. So what I'm doing is I'm just peeling back the one side of the waxed paper, and I'm going to stick that right on the edge there like that. And then as I peel this off, I'm just going to kind of push it down with my bone folder. And then what I've done now is that's sticky, obviously, right? I've just made it sticky. And I'm just going to actually fold it in on itself there so I don't goop my scissors up. Right? So now when I pull this off, that wax paper off, I will be able to just stick this down. So the reason for doing that is I am going to pull out my dies again. And the die I want to get, so I'm going to use this More Than Autumn bundle again. I want this apple here. I'm using Apple Word, and it is right here. So there is hot cocoa. If you wanted to make this a hot cocoa one, you could do that. So I'm just going to put that apple die on there. And actually, let's think ahead here and do an apple. But before I do that, I'm going to just stamp that apple on, and that way I make sure I'm doing it right where I want it to be. So I've got my stamp right there. I'm going to get my black Memento ink, Tuxedo Black. Here and there. Stamp that up, or ink that up rather. And I'm just going to pop it down on that paper. Hold it for a couple seconds. There we go. Got a nice apple. Now, I mentioned before about cleaning stamps. This is that chamois. It actually came with the Glass Mat Studio, and you see it cleans off. That's just tape, glue marks that are on there. It pulls it right off. So it's really awesome. But it's also great for my stamp. It will mark it up, obviously, but it's going to clean those stamps up just like a charm. So that's that. Now, I'm going to put this on here, and there's some of that tape that I had on. I used yesterday or the other day. Washi tape. I'm just going to pop that on there. And then I'm going to put the apple on, bring my cutting plates back, stick this on here like this, and away we go. All right. Push that in to engage it, and push her through. This came with feet on the bottom to help it from slipping. My feet came off, and so it does slide a bit, but being a small one, I can control it quite easily. All right, put them aside for just a second. I'm going to pull off this die. So I pull off my tape here. There's my little apple. There you go. And the apple. You'll notice, oh, never mind. Sometimes paper gets stuck inside the dies. Make sure you kind of clean them off. And that way they're ready to go for the next time. So this, I'm just going to poke these pieces out. With the sticker part there, they can be a little bit ornery and from popping out, not pop out as nice as what they would, because you've got that added layer holding it kind of in, and being the added layer is a sticker. Right? So I find if I just hold my finger against it and push, it will work a little. It's not sticking to my finger, it's just giving something to push against, I guess. And that allows that to come loose. Okay, so that is still good. I've got sticker use out of that. And now these are basically 2 stickers that are going to go on our circle. Well, apple's going to go on our circle. And then the word apple, the actual apple, is going to go on a cup. Okay, so let's do some die cutting of the cup. And just like we just did, and we did the other day, we're going to pull out the components that we want to make this. Now I could have, what I did before was I actually cut the apple and I colored it. So I could have done that, but we're going to just stick with what we've got here. And I'm going to put these on a block and stamp. I will use the Memento ink this time though, whereas before I used the brown ink. As long as it's a water-based ink that you're going to be using with your blends, you're good. Okay, I'm just going to pull in our paper. So stamp off on and then clean it. And then next one, so this little cinnamon stick, I'll put it the same direction as the other one. Down. Okay. And now my cup. Oh, I don't know if you guys can hear it. I really hope you can't, but we've got karaoke going on downstairs. I love my husband and my son, and they love karaoke, and they sing their hearts out almost every night. And it allows me to sneak away and have some time to do this, so I'm very thankful, but I really hope you can't hear it. Maybe one day they'll make it big and you'll all hear the amazing songs I've been hearing. Some of them they do really good at. Some of them, let's just say some of them they do really good at, and I'll leave it at that. Okay, sorry, I had a swig of my tea. All right, one big piece of advice I'm going to always give is put your things back. Put your stamps back. You'll notice in the cases, everything has a place, which is nice. The dies, not so much. I know people that will trace around the dies when they get them. They'll see how they work, and then they'll, or where they were rather, on this piece of cardboard. So they would come in and they would trace around each die to make sure that it was ready to go and know where to put it back. I personally will buy a magnetic sheet, stick it in here, and then all of them go right on that magnetic sheet. I just haven't done that yet for this set because it's a newer set that I haven't had the sheet for, or haven't purchased the magnetic sheet yet. I like to get them at the dollar store, but I haven't been able to find them lately at Dollarama. So I don't know if I'll have to do another Amazon order. Right, so we've got the cinnamon stick. These have been my favorite ones to use. If you haven't noticed, I like the drink. Pumpkin spice would be my favorite, but you know, we're doing an apple theme, which is fine. Josh loves the apple cinnamon spice or apple caramel spice at Starbucks. And so we went grocery shopping today, and it had to involve going to Starbucks and getting an apple caramel spice for him and a drink for me. And I tried their new pecan oat latte, which was quite good. I liked it. And that's the one thing, you know, it is expensive at Starbucks, but you can get the different types of milks, which is nice. I'm not lactose intolerant. I can drink milk, and I enjoy milk, but I do enjoy the oat milk, especially in a latte. So, you know, when you can get it there and it's the same price as the other ones, that says something for, you know, people that can't drink it. Like my son's girlfriend, she can't drink the milk too well. It doesn't agree with her. So it's nice to be able to get her a drink and know that it's something she's not going to struggle with. Okay, so everything's put back. Got an extra piece here. I'm going to pull out our markers to color these. So I will use this time the red to color the cup because it is an apple spice. I'm going to use the brown for the cinnamon stick. And then I'm just going to use the ivory again for our whipped cream. I think I will use the light Pebble Path. Or no, I'm going to use this one. I apologize. I changed my mind. So our ivory, again, I'm just going to kind of go in and follow these. You don't want to take your blends and put them on your stamp. It will ruin your stamps. They won't, this alcohol ink won't stamp. So I could have used a lighter ink to put these, to actually stamp with. Problem is it wouldn't have been that defined, and I don't think it would have looked as good. So this, I get the definition with that, which is what I was wanting with the black ink, and then the ivory just kind of makes it look a little creamier, not just like it's beige or the basic beige paper. All right, so like we did before, I'm going to use, but this one I'm going to use the cherry cobbler. So it's like a red. To me, it's like a very Christmassy type red. I like it. Apple red, I guess. I could use the real red as well, but I like this one. And then on this one side, and I could, if you want to do it the other side, the right side, to shade it this way, you could. That's fine. But I just find one side, just kind of give it more that shading sort of look like that. And then I'm going to come in with the light one and then just kind of blend it through. And that will give me that shading that is so nice with these alcohol markers. Really, I knew nothing about them, and now that I've started to use them, I really like them. Okay, I'm just going to do this with the ivory to start our cup. Sleeve, that's it. And they didn't have any sleeves today at Starbucks, so Josh had to double cup it, which I was thankful that they did that for him. It was nice. All right, then I'm going to just take that little apple and I'm going to pop it on there. So there's that backing, and I can just place that right on there like a sticker. I have got a big bumblebee in my office. He just made himself known and he's buzzing around. All right, so then I'm going to take my glue and I'm just going to come across the top if the glue wants to work. Okay. And I'm going to stick my whipped cream on there. I'm going to use the end of my cinnamon stick. Put a little glue on it. Probably too much glue. But if it smushes out, that's fine because we're not even going to see it. And I'm just putting this, I always seem to put it on the left side. If you want to put it on the right side, go for it. I didn't want to stick on there. Maybe my ink wasn't quite dry yet. Give it another stick. Okay, so that is that. Now I'm going to deal with this. I'm not going to glue these together yet. I just want to kind of figure out how this is all going to be placed. I should probably bring my box back. So I want to place my circle like that, my apple drink there, and then I can place the word apple right there, and I can stamp above and below it. So let's just say I'm going to stamp these perfectly, and I'll place my sticker right where I want it to be. And I learned from my mistakes. So I'm putting this down. I'm going to watch the directions so I can stamp it right and not stamp off like I did before. Okay, so cider is the one, right? And I put, this calls for apple cider. So let's do the same here. And I'm just going to grab my stamp. And stamp it up. Make sure it's all good. Pop this on up here. The same way my apple is going. Word apple, so I don't have to take it off like I had to do the other one the other night. Oh man, you could tell that night that I really wasn't doing so good. The next morning I woke up, I was not feeling good whatsoever. I had a really rough night, so I'm going to blame that. But I just had a relapse of that stupid bug. Okay. So this calls for apple cider. And that apple writing, like the script, is not 100% level. So I think that looks pretty good. Okay. Pop on the ink so I don't muck it up. Now we're going to pull out our tear and tape, and where is this ribbon? So I've got some ribbon here. I'm going to use it, cherry cobbler ribbon. It's got polka dots in it. I think it looks really quite nice. But instead of using like a whole big length of it, I'm going to show you a little trick. So we're just going to cut a piece off. And then we're going to come in here. And I'm going to run this along here like this. So this is that tear and tape, two-sided tape that you can tear. So I'm going to pull off the edge there. Now it's sticky, sticky, sticky. I'm going to make my loop like this. So I want to see this part. I don't really want that part. Nothing wrong with that, but this is the part I want to see. And I'm just going to stick that down there like that. Okay. So then I'm going to run another little piece of tape at the bottom, just down from that. I'm going to peel this up. There we go. And this time I just want kind of two tails. So I'm going to cut a piece. And then I'm going to cut it in half because this is one-sided. I can't really, it'll lay much nicer if I do this. And then I'm going to position it the way I like it. So it looks like I've got one continuous run of ribbon there. It's still a little sticky there. That's fine. In fact, I'm going to even take another piece and just stick this down like this so I can capture those pieces and they'll stay put because I've got this other piece of tape on there. And since it's there, why not use the sticky part of it to help? So I'm going to just peel that off if I can. It really does help to have this tool to pick those things off. And it's not the only tool out there, but it is a pretty darn good one. All right, so then that needs to be centered on there. I'm going to throw some glue on here. And I do have the sticky tape there, so I'm going to come in like this, center it on, like that. Now, I'm going to get, oops, everything's falling at once. All right, so I was talking about dimensionals, I believe, and doing, kind of the two-sided tape. This is what Stampin' Up calls their dimensionals. I'm just going to put this pin back in here before I forget. Just to keep the ribbon from like unrolling everywhere. All right, dimensionals. These are the dimensionals, and they are just what, little hexagons. Is that what we're going to call them? Actually, I did that wrong. I wanted to put them on here first off. So that's even wrong. Stop and think about what you're doing here first, Tanya. That will help. Again, homemade. Nobody ever knows. All right. So I wanted it on that one side so I can pop these on here. Two-sided tape. And now I'm just going to throw that on there. So that's added that little dimension and pop up. Now here, we're going to put this on here. I'm not going to use the dimensionals for that. I'm going to use glue. I want it to stick well. Problem is, I want it to stick on here, but just on this piece here. So my suggestion, and of course, you know, I know it all. No, I don't. I'm joking. Put this over here. Flip it over. Maybe take a pencil and just lightly kind of give a couple marks in there that you can see. So I don't know if you can see them there. I can see them. And then this is where I'm going to add my glue. So just kind of snuck under the edge there. And I'm just putting my glue on that side. So there we go. Make sure that's good. I'm not getting that out anywhere. There. So that is where that's going to go. I'm going to actually just put this, if you can see, I'm just putting it on the edge of my desk. Just giving it a good little push down so I've got the pressure there and holding that on. But once that glue takes, it will take, and it'll take quite good, like it already has. Now that I actually want to move it ever so slightly. It shifted when I pushed it down. Okay, so there we go. That's that. It's on. The last thing we want to do is put a piece here for a sentiment. So I'm going to pull out this white paper that we were using, or the basic beige. And my dimensions again for that was 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And do not hear this till you've stamped it. So what do you want to put on here? Right? We put, this calls for apple cider. And then maybe put apple cider is the best, maybe, or fall is the best, or autumn is the best. Let's do autumn is the best. So autumn. Is the best right there. And maybe a little heart as well. So I could put this here and stamp it at the same time. It is possible. Problem is it's going to be, with especially 2 different fonts, a little bit tricky. So I'm not going to do it. Okay, so I don't trust myself. So autumn. This is where the stamp, the glass mat really helps. I can kind of get it on there straight. So Autumn is the best. Okay. Now by doing this, I can get it nice and close. And like I say, the two different fonts. This is such a fine font that I don't want to really smudge it or anything like that. And then let's just put a nice little heart here that will color in cherry cobbler lens. Okay, so I'll put those stamps away properly in a second. I'm just going to leave that there. I've kept you guys long enough tonight. So I'm just going to give this a little color with the light cherry cobbler. I could have made a red heart and stuck that in there, but there we go. So I would even suggest signing it before you put this on, but maybe somebody else. You're going to give it to somebody that they are going to give it to somebody else, so they can write something on. There we go. So that's our little box. And I'll just steal, oh, we got to put one more thing on it. Steal the grog, the apple cider from this box, pop it in there. There we go. And the one last thing was the Velcro. So we have the call it the rougher Velcro and then the softer Velcro. So I adhered the rough one. I'm just going to stick the soft one on top of it. Like put them together like this you go. And push that down. Now for the first couple times, put your hand in there and grab it and open it just to make sure that glue adheres and you're not ripping it right off. But there you go. Nice little box, nice little keepsake. Put it on your counter and away you go. All right. Thanks for joining me. I hope to see you again soon. My goal is a video every weekday. So Friday, end of the week. So hopefully I'll see you on Monday. Take care. Have a good weekend.